Imagine being a 14 years old girl. Your biggest worry should be homework, friendship, or maybe what to wear to school. But for millions of girls around the world, that's not the reality. Instead, they are facing something that changes their lives forever: pregnancy. Adolescent pregnancy is a global crisis, and one that is often hidden in the shadows. But its impact is felt by individuals, families, and entire communities. It's a story of inequality, of lost opportunities, and of a fight for a better future. Today, we are going to talk about this issue, understand why it happens, and explore what can be done to change it. Let's start with the numbers because they tell a story that's hard to ignore. As of 2019, an estimated 21 million girls aged 15 to 19 in low and middle income countries were getting pregnant every year. Half of these pregnancies were unintended. That means 10.5 million girls don't plan to get pregnant, but it happened anyway. And out of these pregnancies, about 12 million resulted, yet 55% of these unintended pregnancies ended in abortions, many of which were unsafe. In countries where healthcare systems are weak, unsafe abortions can lead to serious complications, even death. But it's not just about the numbers, it's about the lives behind them. Adolescent mothers, especially those between 10 and 19 years old, face higher risks during pregnancy and childbirth. They are more likely to experience conditions like eclampsia, a life threatening complication, or infections that can leave them with long term health problems. And it's not just the mothers who suffer, their babies are also at higher risk of being born too early, having a low birth weight, or facing severe health conditions right after birth. Adolescent pregnancy is not just happening in one part of the world. It's a global issue, but it looks different depending on where you are. In sub Saharan Africa, the adolescent birth rate is the highest in the world, with 97.9 births per 1,000 girls aged 15 to 19. In Latin America and the Caribbean, their rate is 51.4 per 1,000. Compare that to Europe, where the rate is just 13.1 per 1,000. Even within countries, there are huge differences. In Zambia, for example, the percentage of adolescent girls who have started childbearing ranges from 14.9% in the capital city to 42.5% in rural areas. In the Philippines, it's 3.5% in some regions and 17.9% in others. What's driving these differences? It's a mix of factors. That is poverty, lack of education, cultural norms, and limited access to healthcare. In many places, girls are pressured to marry young and start having children early. Child marriage is a huge problem, with an estimated 650 million girls and women alive today who were married before they turned 18. When a girl is married off as a child, she's more likely to get pregnant before her body is ready, and she's less likely to have the power to make decisions about her own health and future. One of the biggest predictors of adolescent pregnancy is education. Girls who stay in school are less likely to get pregnant. It's that simple. Education gives girls knowledge, confidence, and opportunities. It opens doors to jobs and a better life. But when girls are pulled out of school, either because of poverty, child marriage, or cultural expectation, their chances of getting pregnant goes high. And it's not just about formal education. Many girls don't have access to information about their bodies, about sex, or about contraception. In some places, talking about these things is a taboo. Parents, Parents and teachers might avoid the topic, leaving girls in the dark. And even when information is available, it's not always accurate. Myths and misconceptions about contraception are common, and they can prevent girls from using it. Let's talk about contraception for a moment, because it's a key part of preventing adolescent pregnancy. But for many girls, getting access to contraception is anything but easy. In some places, laws and policies make it hard for adolescents to get contraceptives without parental consent. Health workers might refuse to provide them, either because of personal beliefs or because they don't think adolescents should be sexually active. And even when contraceptives are available, they might be too expensive or girls might not know how to use them correctly. Then there is the issue of stigma. Imagine being a teenage girl trying to get birth control in a small town where everyone knows everyone. You might be judged, shamed, or even harassed. It's no wonder that many girls avoid seeking contraception even when they know they need it. Another factor that's often overlooked is violence. Sexual abuse is a harsh reality for many girls around the world. According to a World Health Organization report, 120 million girls under the age of 20 have experienced sexual violence. That's 1 in 8 girls globally. And when a girl is abused, her risk of getting pregnant goes up. These pregnancies are almost always unintended, and they are often the result of deeply rooted gender inequality. Violence doesn't just come from strangers. Many girls experience abuse from their partners. In fact, 24% of adolescent girls aged 15 to 19 have experienced physical or sexual violence from an intimate partner at least once in their lives. This kind of violence can trap girls in cycles of poverty and dependency, making it even harder for them to escape. The consequences of adolescent pregnancy don't stop with the mother and child. They ripple out, affecting families, communities, and even entire countries. When a girl gets pregnant, she's more likely to drop out of school, which limits her future opportunities. She is more likely to live in poverty, and her children are more likely to grow up in poverty too. It's a cycle that's hard to break. But it's not just about economics. Adolescent pregnancy also has social and emotional costs. Girls who get pregnant young often face stigma and discrimination. They, they might be shunned by their families or communities, leaving them isolated and vulnerable. And the stress of raising a child at such a young age can take a toll on their mental health. So, what can we do to address this crisis? The good news is that there are many solutions and they are within reach. And they require commitment, resources, and a willingness to challenge the status quo. First, we need to invest in education. Keeping girls in school is one of the most effective ways to prevent adolescent pregnancy. But it's not just about building schools, it's about creating an environment where girls feel safe and supported. That means addressing issues like child marriage, gender based violence, and poverty. Second, we need to improve access to contraception and sexual health services. This includes removing legal and policy barriers, training health workers to provide youth friendly services, and tackling stigma. Girls need accurate information about their options, and they need to feel empowered to make decisions about their own bodies. Third, we need to address the root causes of adolescent pregnancy, like gender inequality and poverty. This means working with communities to change harmful norms. and practices, and creating opportunities for girls to thrive. It also means holding governments accountable for protecting girls' rights and ensuring that they have access to the services they need. This is not just a problem for governments or NGOs to solve. It's something that everyone can contribute to. Parents, teachers, healthcare workers, community leaders, we all have a role to play. We can start by having open and honest conversations about sex, relationships, and contraception. We can challenge harmful norms and support girls in pursuing their dreams. And we can advocate for policies and programs that prioritize adolescent health and well being. Adolescent pregnancy is a complex issue, but it's not an something that cannot be solved. We have the knowledge, the tools, and the resources to make a difference. What we need now is the will to act. Every girl deserves the chance to grow up healthy, educated, and empowered. Every girl deserves this chance to decide her own future. So let's not turn away from this crisis. Let's face it head on with compassion, determination, and hope. Because when we invest in girls, we are not just changing their lives, we are changing the world. So thank you for staying until the end. If you like this type of content, please share with your friends, subscribe, and see you next time.